I've spent 58 years walking this earth, crossing borders, watching civilizations at their best and worst. And I keep coming back to one image, the wasteland of Mad Max. Not because it's entertaining, though it is, but because it terrifies me with its proximity to our reality. Thomas Hobbes wrote in 1651 that without a common power to keep us in awe, we exist in a state of nature, a condition of war, where every man is enemy to every man. He described life in this state with 5 devastating words: solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. The world of Mad Max isn't science fiction, it's political philosophy made visible, and we're closer to it than we'd like to admit. Today, I want to show you why. Let me take you back to 1651. England has just emerged from civil war. Hobbes has witnessed chaos, bloodshed, the collapse of order. And he asks himself, what are humans like without government? His answer isn't optimistic. In the state of nature, before society, before laws, humans are fundamentally equal. Equal in our vulnerability. You might be stronger than me, but I can kill you while you sleep. You might be smarter, but I can form alliances. This equality breeds fear. And from fear comes preemptive violence. Why? Because in a world without law, without police, without courts, the rational move is to strike first. To take what you need before someone takes it from you. To dominate before you're dominated. Hobbes says there's no right or wrong in this state, no justice or injustice. Those concepts require law, and law requires a sovereign power to enforce it. In the state of nature, you have only one right: the right to self-preservation by any means necessary. This is the war of all against all, not necessarily constant fighting, but constant readiness for fighting. The perpetual threat of violence. And in this condition, Hobbes writes, there is no place for industry, no culture of the earth, no navigation, no commodious building, no knowledge, no arts, no letters, no society. Why? Because when you might be killed tomorrow, why plant crops? Why build? Why create? Now, let's enter the wasteland. Mad Max shows us exactly what Hobbes described. The apocalypse has destroyed the Leviathan. That's Hobbes's term for the state, the sovereign power. And what emerges? Precisely the state of nature. Look at the world George Miller created. Resources, water, gasoline, food are scarce. There's no police force, no courts, no government. And immediately we see Hobbes's prediction manifest. Life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Solitary, trust is impossible. Max himself is the perfect Hobbesian man, isolated, unable to form lasting bonds because betrayal is always imminent. Poor, despite the vast landscape, everyone is impoverished. Why? Because without security, there's no sustained production. No one plants, everyone scavenges. Nasty and brutish, violence is the primary language. Immortan Joe's regime, the war boys, the roving gangs, all operate on the principle of might makes right. And short, life expectancy has plummeted. People die young, violently, meaninglessly. But here's what's philosophically fascinating. Even in this wasteland, we see desperate attempts to escape the state of nature. Immortan Joe creates a twisted form of Leviathan, a sovereign power that monopolizes violence and resources. It's tyrannical, yes, but it provides a kind of order. The citadel has structure, hierarchy, rules. Why? Because even a brutal Leviathan is preferable to pure chaos. This is Hobbes's central insight. We accept authority, even imperfect authority, because the alternative is worse. So how do we escape the state of nature? Hobbes's answer is the social contract. Imagine you're in that wasteland. You're exhausted from constant vigilance. You can't sleep soundly. You can't build anything lasting. You can't trust anyone. Now imagine someone proposes a deal. Let's all agree to give up our unlimited freedom, our right to do whatever we want, to a sovereign power. This Leviathan will protect us from each other. It will enforce laws, punish violence, and create security. Would you take that deal? Hobbes says yes. Rationally, we must, because even though we surrender freedom, we gain something more valuable: security, predictability, the possibility of civilization. This is the foundation of every government that's ever existed. We consent, sometimes explicitly, usually implicitly, to be governed because the alternative is unthinkable. But here's the terrifying part: the social contract is fragile. It's not a physical thing. It's an agreement, a collective belief, and it only works when enough people believe in it. Think about what holds society together right now as you watch this. Not just police or military, those are symptoms, not causes. What really holds us together is mutual belief. We believe money has value. We believe property rights exist. We believe laws should be followed. We believe the government has legitimacy. But belief can evaporate. When people stop believing in the Leviathan's legitimacy or ability to protect them, the social contract dissolves, and we slide back toward the state of nature. This is what happened in Mad Max's world. Some catastrophe, environmental, nuclear, economic, destroyed the government's ability to function. And once people realized the Leviathan was dead, the war of all against all resumed. You might think, that's fiction. That's extreme. That could never happen here. I've seen it happen, not globally, not permanently, but in pockets, in failed states, in disaster zones, in moments when the Leviathan's grip loosens. I was in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. I've been in regions where government collapsed, and I've seen how quickly, how terrifyingly quickly, people revert to Hobbesian logic when they believe the social contract has failed. Step 1 toward the state of nature: resource scarcity. When people fear they won't have enough food, water, fuel, medicine, cooperation becomes harder. Hoarding begins. Distrust grows. Step 2: loss of faith in institutions. When people stop believing the government can or will protect them, they start protecting themselves. Vigilantism rises. Tribal loyalties replace civic ones. We see these steps beginning in various forms today. Climate change threatens resources. Political polarization erodes institutional trust. Economic inequality creates separate realities. Misinformation fractures shared truth. I'm not saying we're about to become Mad Max's Wasteland, but I am saying the distance is shorter than we think. The Leviathan we take for granted, stable government, rule of law, social cohesion, is not inevitable. It's an achievement, constantly maintained. Consider recent history: the collapse of Yugoslavia, the Rwandan genocide, the Syrian civil war, Venezuela's economic collapse. These weren't gradual declines over centuries, they were rapid deteriorations, sometimes within years. From functioning states to conditions approaching Hobbes's nightmare. What do they teach us? That civilization is a thin veneer, that the state of nature is always there, waiting beneath the surface. that the Leviathan must be constantly fed, with legitimacy, with effectiveness, with justice, or it withers. So what do we do with this knowledge? First, we acknowledge our dependence. We need the Leviathan, not because authority is inherently good, but because the alternative is inherently terrible. This doesn't mean accepting tyranny. Remember, even Hobbes recognized that the Leviathan must protect its subjects or lose legitimacy. It means recognizing that government, for all its flaws, is what stands between us and the wasteland. Second, we maintain the social contract actively. It's not enough to passively accept government. We must participate, hold it accountable, ensure it serves its fundamental purpose, protecting us from each other and from external threats. Third, we address the conditions that threaten the Leviathan: resource scarcity, inequality, institutional decay. These aren't just political issues, they're existential threats to the social contract itself. When people can't feed their families, they stop caring about abstract laws. When institutions are corrupt, people stop believing in them. When inequality becomes extreme, the social contract becomes one-sided, and those on the losing end withdraw their consent. Hobbes understood something we often forget. The state exists to serve a function. It's not about ideology or tradition. It's about preventing the war of all against all. Any government that fails this basic function, that cannot provide security, that cannot maintain order, that cannot protect its people, is a Leviathan in name only. And when the Leviathan fails, we don't get freedom. We get the wasteland. I began by saying, Mad Max terrifies me with its proximity. Let me end by saying why it also gives me hope. Even in the wasteland, even in Hobbes' state of nature, we see humans trying to rebuild, trying to create order, trying to escape the war of all against all. Because we know instinctively that we're better together than apart. That cooperation beats conflict. That civilization, however imperfect, beats chaos. The women in Fury Road are searching for the green place, a place of peace, abundance, order. They're searching for a functioning social contract, and when they don't find it, they turn back to build it themselves. That's our task too. Not to take the Leviathan for granted, not to assume civilization is permanent, but to actively maintain it, improve it, ensure it serves its purpose. Because we're always 2 steps from the state of nature. The first step is scarcity. The second is loss of faith. And once we take those steps, the road back is long and bloody. Hobbes wrote the Leviathan after witnessing civil war, hoping to prevent future ones. He understood that the state of nature isn't ancient history. It's the default condition, always waiting. Mad Max shows us what we're running from. The question is, are we running fast enough? I'm Adrian Vale. Thank you for thinking with me today.